Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining this session on side body. I'm moving straight to my mat today, and as you can see, I put a blanket on top so we can slide and move a little bit so we can start opening here. So I'm coming first to lie down on my mat. I'm going to release the legs, release the arms. Give yourself a moment to surrender into the floor, your support, anything that you're using underneath. And take a couple of breaths, just naturally inhaling, if you can, through your nose. And then big exhale, almost like a sigh out. And you sink a little deeper. So a couple more like that. And as you do a couple more, perhaps, just sense, sometimes when we slow down and we just take a pause physically, we start feeling tingling sensations, throbbing pulses, or just like sometimes like little shoots of tension or stress, right, that we are holding in the body. So this is a good opportunity to check in. And you know, as you check in and you feel all those things, how you need to take care of yourself today, right? So we are never being aggressive with the body. We are taking our time so we can breathe mindfully and make space. Good. The first thing that I'm going to do today here, even though it's not specifically for side body, but it will help, is to bend the knees, put my feet down on the blanket that I have so I can feel my pelvis more grounded onto the floor, less arching in the lower back. And I'm going to inhale, bring the chin over to the right. Exhale, bring it back to center. Inhale, over to the left. Exhale, back to center. I'm going to do a couple more, and as I go like this, I'm trying to soften my shoulders. It's almost like if I have two rocks and they are really heavy, dropping to the floor. And slowly, as I keep moving my head side to side, I'm trying to create or add a little bit more pressure from the skull down into my blanket so I can start toning the muscles in the back of the neck. And that also affects the upper back. I know, like I said, this is not specifically for side body, but all of the parts in our body are related, right? Everything is related. So if I soften and tone also in that area, it will help for the side body to open more. So I'm going just for a few more rounds. Notice if you're tensing the shoulders up towards your earlobes, try to soften them down again and heavy. I'm doing one last, going side to side. And then coming back to center. Good, now we are going to start adding a little bit more of that side opening. So I'm going to lace the fingers, bring the hands behind the head, and I'm going to make sure that my elbows are wide, right? And if you can, you're going to just press firmly with your elbows down. You will feel more activation in the upper back. Just feel that as you breathe in and out through the nose if you can. If you feel like you're congested today and you cannot breathe through the nose only, of course, switch that up. I don't want you to not breathe at all, right? So breathe the way you can, but try to make that breath fluid. Good. Then I'm softening a little bit of that grip, and I'm going to start sliding side to side. So slowly with my next inhalation, I'm bringing both my elbows over to the right. I am not lifting the elbows off my blanket and keeping them heavy. So that's why the blanket there, so I can slide. And then I'm coming back to center. I'm inhaling, going over to the left, any amount. And then I'm coming back to center. Again, inhaling, maybe slowly and gradually as you go side to side. You'll start noticing, maybe, right, I said, that the body starts giving you more of this sensation of opening and flexibility. Sometimes when we start, the body is still cold or our muscles are still a little bit compacted, constricted. And as we go slowly, right, and gradually, nothing forced, it starts to warm up and give us a little bit more of that space that we want to find. So I'm opening slowly the intercostal muscles. I'm going again, a couple more rounds, trying to keep those arms heavy. And for these last ones, maybe you can add also your eyes going up towards your upper elbow. That's a nice exercise also for the visual, for the muscles in your eyes. And I'm also going over the left. And I'm also toning the neck secretly, the same. Okay, good, one more, I'm going over. And then I'm coming back to center. Good, okay, now from here, I'm going to keep the legs as they are, but this time I'm going to stretch both arms overhead. And with my left hand, I'm going to grab my right forearm, or wrist. And I'm going to pull that side a little further up. You're going to keep that, and we're going to do a few windshield wipers with the legs. So I'm pulling from my right arm, right, trying to stretch there. And I'm doing just 3 times, going sideways, 3 full times, right? And after the third one, I'm going to come back and send my legs over to the left. So both knees are dropping to the floor, and only if you can and if it feels okay and it's not like something too intense, you're going to try and put the left foot on top of your right knee or thigh, and you let that leg become heavy, and with that weight, pull the right leg a little heavier to the floor. If you want to add a tiny bit more here, as you pull that right arm overhead, bring the chin over to your right, take a deep breath in, deep breath out. Good. Then I'm taking that left foot out. If it was on top of the right leg, I'm bringing both my knees back to vertical, resetting my pelvis. Good, I'm going to release the arms here and then switch. With my right hand, I'm holding my left wrist. I'm pulling, right, or forearm. I'm pulling there so I can feel a little bit more of that stretch in the side body, this time on the left. And then again, I'm going to do 3 times the windshield wipers. So I'm going for 1, both ways, for 2, and for 3. And after the third one, I'm letting both my legs drop to the right. This is a good place to be. Let's say that I'm going to call it stage number 1. You can stay in stage 1, and this is awesome. Stage number 2, you put the right foot on top of your left leg, and that weight will drag the leg, the hip a little further down. Stage 3, you add the head going over to the left. Now, I always tell all my students that stage 3 doesn't mean better or awesome more than stage 1. The stages are actually just options and variations, so you can really practice the full meaning of yoga, which is going in, listening to your body, and give yourself what you need today, okay? Then I'm returning with my head, I'm taking my right foot down, I'm releasing my arms, and I'm bringing my legs back to center. Beautiful. Let's add a little more here before I switch this. I'm going to lace my fingers again, bring the hands again behind my head, and this time we add a little bit more undulations through the spine. So I'm going to push the elbows down, inhale, arch my back, lift the chin gently, and then with the exhale, belly button moves in, my tailbone is lifting into my body, my elbows come up into one another, and I'm lifting the upper back, okay? A lot of things. Inhaling, I'm arching, lifting, widening through the chest. Exhaling, toning the core muscles, lifting up through the upper back. Again, inhaling, exhaling. 2 more, inhale, exhale. Last one, inhale, and exhale. Good. When I'm inhaling, I'm coming back. I'm releasing the arms for a moment. And from here, I'm going to extend my right arm overhead, or it can be actually any arm, the one that is going to help you turn over so you can see the camera, right? And you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to stay on my right. I got stuck in my blanket. I'm going to stay on the right, and I'll fix it later. And I'm going to either put my hand under my head, or you could also extend the arm and put the head over if that feels good for you or it feels better, okay? I'm extending my legs, but instead of having them right straight, following my spine, I'm going to bring them a little further forward so I have a little better balance. And the upper leg, I'm going to bend the knee and I'm going to put the foot behind the front leg. If you feel like you're stable here and you're not falling, then you can bring that under leg again close to you, okay? Good. I'm trying to unhook myself. Okay, good. Now from here, the upper knee, whichever it is that you're doing, that upper knee, I'm going to try and send it back. You will feel it a little bit more in the groins, right? And that is actually also part of the opening. So I'm sending my upper knee back. And from there, now I'm going to stretch that underarm. I'm going to let my head go, and I'm going to bring the upper arm over the head. When I get there, I'm going to use my underhand to grab my wrist or my forearm and pull. Now I'm going to add a couple of things here. Once you're pulling, I want you to also try and drag your belly button into your body. Also, I'm going to say, try and send the very tail of your spine, or what we call the tailbone, into your body as well. So it's almost like if I want to make my belly button and my tail meet at the center. I know it looks funny, but I'm trying to connect both. I'm going to keep that. I'm going to push through my right heel, and I'm also going to keep sending that upper knee. Well, the under heel, right, is the one that I'm pushing, and the top knee is the one that is going back. So let's try and combine all of those things. Take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. Good, then release that arm, the one that was on top, and we can switch sides. Now, yes, I'm going to try and hook myself. Okay, there I go. Super. I'm switching sides and I'm going over my second side. So you can start with the head supported with your hand. If this one you don't like, you can always put a blanket or a block or a pillow. Block may be a little too hard, but you can support the head like that, okay? So I'm finding that line for me, maybe a little bit further forward so I have better balance there. And then I'm going to bend the upper knee. I'm going to put that foot behind the under leg. And then maybe I'm going to bring that leg a little closer again. Once I'm there, I'm going to try and start engaging the rest. So I'm sending my belly in, my tailbone also towards the front of my body. My upper knee is going back. So I'm also opening through the internal line. And then I'm going to extend underarm all the way to the other end of the mat. Let the head drop. Turn the underhand to face up. And then bring the upper arm over the head. This stretch is already good. If you don't want to hold, or it's hard to hold one hand or one wrist, right? You just stretch there. But if you can, you hold that upper wrist or forearm and you pull. And then you again go towards those other cues that I said before. So the upper knee goes back, the tailbone moves in, the belly button goes also in, and we pull that upper side. So the whole top side is stretching and opening up. Good. Okay, I'm going to release that. I'm going to bring my upper hand in front, and now you can return to that support that you were doing before if you were. And from here, I'm going to play a little bit with the upper leg. For this one, again, if you need to move that under leg a little further to a diagonal, it may be helpful, okay? So I'm going to try and bring my right knee towards me first, but my tailbone keeps moving into my body, okay? Good, so that's stage number one. Stage number two, I'm going to bring my arm in front of the leg and try and catch the foot. You can also use a strap and just lasso your foot with the strap and pull from there, okay? I'm trying to bring that knee towards me, but the important part here is that I'm not pushing my butt backwards, okay? So I'm trying to bring that tailbone in at all times. So stage number 2. Stage number 3, maybe if your arm is long like mine, if not, you will need a belt, you play with stretching a little bit more through that upper leg. And I'm pushing through the heel and I'm trying to stay with that tailbone moving into my body. Good, and I'm bending slowly, releasing, maybe shaking a little if you need. Good, and I'm going to the last side. So I'm going back to my first side so I can do that little exercise again, okay? So I'm going into the second side, stretching, my legs go a little bit to the diagonal. I'm using my underhand to support my head. Good, and remember, we want to keep that tailbone moving in and belly moving in. I'm going to bend my top knee. I'm really extending through that underside. Believe it or not, even though we are playing with the upper side, the side that we are opening up, the side that we are opening up the more is the one on the floor. So I want to really lengthen that side and push through the hip. Left hand or upper hand is going to hold that knee and try to bring it in. Now notice how naturally your sitting bones, your glutes will want to go backwards. So try and squeeze them towards the front of your body. It's going to challenge your balance, right? And if that happens and you feel like you're wobbly or falling, which is very normal, you can always bend the under leg and that will give you more stability, okay? Good, so I'm here, I'm trying to send that tailbone in. Stage number 2, I'm bringing that upper arm inside the leg. You could stay here without holding anything and just push with your arm into the leg and the leg into the arm. That's super good work. Same idea. Or catch the foot, tailbone in, and then you either stay there, stage 3, or you go a little further into that stretch. It is not important how much you're stretching, how beautiful it looks. This is just a little bit of a game to create opening in the sides. And these, the inner legs are also opening a lot, which is super beneficial for your whole body, okay? Good, then I'm releasing, slowly done with that game, let it go. And I'm going to move away from the floor. I'm going to release that blanket so I can now be more grippy. And from here, coming into a tabletop, we are going to do a little bit of a different undulation game so we can open up the sides. So I'm going to walk my hands over to the left, just like 2 or 3 like little steps. So now I'm more towards the left diagonal of my mat. And here we are going to inhale and arch and exhale and round. It's like the usual cow cat that we do, right? So my shoulders and my wrists, they are lined up, but I'm also opening a little bit more of the side. One more. Good. Then I'm walking back and switching over to the right. I'm going to the right a few steps, and again, inhaling, exhaling. Inhale, exhale. One more. Good, I'm coming back towards the center. Good, and I'm going to take one down dog. Down dog is so beneficial for so many things that I'm always adding it. So let's move the knees a few inches back. Then you spin a little bit or dial your hands a tiny bit out towards the sides of your mat. Press firmly through the heels of your hands. Tuck your toes. Whenever you're ready, you can keep your knees bent for a little while as you push the mat down and away. Sometimes I like to actually bring my shoulder blades towards one another, lift the chin. It's a little bit of a back bend here, but it's really useful to open the chest. And then I keep pushing, pushing, pushing my hips up and back. And when I make them really high, then I drop the head, the neck, and I'm also widening my shoulder blades down into my pinky fingers. And then I'm pedaling a few times, or like what we call it, walking the dog. Good, from here I'm going to add another side stretch, okay? But first we play a little bit here. Feel your spine, the side body opening more, front ribs moving into your body, core engaged. And then with my feet hip distance apart, or maybe even a little more, I still push them at the waist so I can send my hip creases up and back. I'm going to lift my heels, as you can see. And then I'm going to spin both my heels over to the right and set them down if you can. Once I get there, I'm going to look at my right hand, push really firmly through that right hand. And then I'm going to look at my left hand and use my left shoulder blade to press into my left pinky finger and push the floor away a little more so that left side gets a little more opened up. Good. Then I'm bringing both my heels up towards the ceiling and pushing again my hip creases up and back. And then I'm spinning both my heels over to the left, pressing down, lengthening that side body on the right. And I'm going to look again at my left hand first. So that when I want to push down and away, then I'm looking at the right one and I'm steadying my right shoulder blade down into my right pinky finger. So I stretch a little more that right side. Good, then I'm coming back towards the center. I'm going to settle those heels a little further down if that is possible. If not, no, you can always keep the knees bent. And then I'm going to walk my hands down towards my feet, bend the knees a little bit there, drop the torso over the legs, take a couple of breaths. Good, I still have a little bit of time. Good, maybe a sigh out, maybe you just need to say no or yes to make sure that you're releasing those neck muscles, no holding there. Draw the lower belly a little further into your spine. Good, and then I'm going to bring my hands to my hips, push firmly through my feet so I can lengthen the spine. Good, then I'm opening the heart, sending the elbows a little further up to the skies. Press firmly through your feet and come all the way up. Good. Okay, once we are up, you can shake it a little bit if you want. I'm going to face the camera so you can see it better. I'm putting my feet together. For some of us, placing our feet together can be a bit of a challenge depending on body shape and form. And the inner thighs may be too tight and it feels uncomfortable. So if that happens for you, no problem at all. You just make your feet be parallel, hip distance, or even wider if you need that. What I find important about that is not so much if they are not completely together, but yes, to look at your feet and make them really straight. Because sometimes we don't realize and we are standing with one foot out, one foot in, or they are both like turned out, and that doesn't help our alignment in the spine. So you just check that your feet are really facing forward. Maybe you measure that with the second or third toes. You stretch those toes as much as you can. And we are toning the legs. Glutes are really hugging the midline of your body, right? So they are coming towards wrapping your tailbone and the tailbone moves down. Let's send that belly button in. Let's turn the palms to face out. Inhale. Send the arms up overhead. You can even look up. Lace the fingers and send those index up, 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 up towards the skies. Beautiful. And once you're there, firm again through the legs. Let the hips go over to your right and tilt your body over to the left. This is a big side stretch. I do it many times. I find it super useful. You need to engage your core moving in, your tailbone moving down. Stretch those arms over the head and see if you can bring your left shoulder blade a little forward, more than what it is, and the left hip point also a little forward. Push through the feet, come back up. Beautiful. Now, before we go over to the second side, press firmly through the heels, make them heavy, and imagine the rim of your pelvis becoming really heavier than what it is, so it's moving down, and the rib cage becoming really light and tall. So I'm almost like trying to separate these two places, right? The two spaces. So one is heavy moving down, one is light moving up, and now I'm going over to my second side. And as I'm doing that, firming through my heels, spreading the toes, I'm trying to go to the side. When I get there, my right armpit moves forward, my right hip moves forward, my tailbone moves down, my navel goes up towards my nose. Push through the feet, come back up, and release. Good, let's shake it a little bit here, a little bit through the shoulders. Good, it's always good. Now I'm going to widen my feet. We have just a few minutes more. Let's do this. We can do it. Good. Now, feet parallel, a little wider than my usual. You can see they are pretty much wider than my hips. Again, I'm steadying through my feet. That means that I'm not only pressing into the outer edge, but also trying to bring some weight into the base of my big toes, which is helpful, without collapsing completely in my inner arches. So lift from there so the inner legs are active. Again, same as before, my glutes are going to be wrapping into my tailbone, and my tailbone wants to go in and under, like if it wants to come forward towards my pelvis, okay? And from there, I'm lifting up, okay? So I'm sending the arms out to the sides. Take a deep breath here, soften the shoulder blades, and exhale. Good, I'm going to keep this shape. Don't lock your knees, right? If you need to bend a little, you bend. But what I'm going to do is work with my side body going to one side and then the other. You see how I'm playing? Mainly what I'm doing is trying to stretch this, right? So don't worry if it doesn't look beautiful. Just go one side and then the other. One more. Good, so we are warming up. Beautiful. I'm coming back to center. I want to squeeze in something else. And I'm going to turn my right foot and leg all the way to the right. So now my toes are pointing towards the top of my mat. With the same movement that we did before, press into the feet, lengthen the torso towards your right leg. And as you keep lengthening, 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 when you cannot go any further, you're gonna put your hand down anywhere, knee, shin, thigh, block, table, anything. With that there, we're going to send the left arm up. Now, a few things here. Again, I'm going to press firmly through my feet. I'm going to send my tailbone in. I'm going to try and bring my upper ribs back and my under ribs forward. See if you can do that. That will stretch the side body a lot. If you want, if that feels okay, you can look up towards your left thumb. If that doesn't feel good in your neck, you look down. Okay, remember, we are turning the cylinder of our torso up, and we are firming through the legs, tailbone in, crown of the head lengthens. Push through the feet, come back up. Exhale and release. Let's turn that right leg in and open the left leg out. Last portion. Good, same idea. Now I'm going over to the other side, but I need my tailbone to move in again. Arms out to the sides. Beautiful. Let's push firmly through the feet. Lengthen, 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 lengthen. When you cannot go any further, left hand comes down anywhere. You see that I'm not doing this, right? If I do this, look at my side body, how it closes. I don't want that. I prefer to be a little taller, okay? And then right arm goes up. Super, once I get there and I have my support, tailbone moves in again. The cylinder of my trunk turns up, so my upper ribs are going backwards, right? I'm trying to do that, and I'm lifting also through the heart. And you choose, you can look up or you can look down. More important than looking up or down is that the tailbone moves in and then the crown of the head follows the line of your spine. Beautiful. Good. Let's push through the feet to come back up. Nice. Release through the arms. Turn that left foot in. Now we have both feet parallel. Last one here. We are going to stretch again. This time I'm inhaling, sending my arms up overhead. Tailbone down, exhale, lengthen, 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 lengthen forward. Your front spine is lengthening and leading, and then I'm putting my hands down. And my hands are not really back towards the legs, as you can see. I'm sending them a little further out. It looks a little bit like when I want to do a down dog. So I'm pushing with my hands down and away, and again, I'm giving my side body length, this time evenly both sides, right? Instead of going one way and then the other. So I'm pushing, pushing, lengthening, front ribs in, hip creases back. This is also a nice stretch for your hamstrings. If you need to bend the knees, bend the knees. Beautiful. Let's walk the hands back. Time is always pushing me. Good. And then I'm going to heel toe my feet. And I'm going to move down towards a squat. Good. I'm getting a little bit extra in. So we push gently with the arms into the inner legs. This is always useful. A little bit of dropping through the hips and the sitting bones, creating a nice opening in the organs for releasing, for digestion. And adding a tiny bit of side body again. My left hand goes down. I'm taking just one breath, opening up to the right. Exhaling, bring it down. Left arm goes up. Exhale, bring it down. Good. Use your strength to come down into a seat. Good. And here we are closing today. Okay, so sit tall for a moment. Let's inhale, send the arms up overhead. And with the exhale through the central axis, we bring those palms into the center in gratitude for having the opportunity to move a little bit. Always much better to move in little amounts, but more times than do only one and long, believe me. So gratitude for having this time together. I hope to see you soon again. Namaste, everyone. Have a good weekend.